we go.
Here we go, doing it for WXC.
Oh, 82.
Oh, you got more than that. That's the only one worse than Caleb so far.
No, that was worse. It was 74. I have carpal tunnel.
Try the left hand, hit the start button.
Nah, 75. Terrible.
Who's in the lead?
Right now it's
T-Rex. I don't have him beat. I've had carpal tunnel surgery on both hands. I've got a jacked up thumb right now. 100.6. I told you, so I got the world's worst grip strength.
Try left hand, hit the start button.
105.
Your teammates haven't done so good so far. We gotta see if
They haven't?
come through for that approach.
One hand, two hands. One hand.
Schoolboy Brian Bolt leads the way. Bridgewater in the number 2 spot. Corbin Hill gonna be in that third place position.
124, I think. Is that
Left hand.
left hand?
Top 5, 18C now. Lucas Burns leads the way. Cameron McGee in the left spot. Dylan Blackwell in third.
130. Is that bad or is that good?
It's good.
It's good?
It's on the better side.
Bryce Bowman and Cody
WXC
Collier, 1, 2, and 3. Now we wait and watch for the WXC class. It was a matter of seconds that separated the top ladies.
We'll try left hand. For some reason, people are doing better with their left hand.
Really?
Yeah.
0.02 for Harper and Elliott. And then 0.1
Oh yeah,
for Elliott.
one less. Not too bad.
128.
I'm gonna.
128?
No, I'm not gonna. I think I know. I'll let you squeeze and I'll blurt it out before it comes out.
Well, you gotta tell us what it's gonna be.
Ahead of time?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna say 96.1.
Dude, he's discounting you right now.
I don't know. We'll see.
All right. I will say a lot of people have been doing better with their left. We'll give you a left hand after.
Give it your all. Go look at it. Oh man, this might be 120 something. Holy shit. I was wrong.
23.8? How's that?
That's pretty. With 2 fingers. Weird. Is that 140?
16. That is good.
Respectable, like mid pack.
I don't really need the grip strength so much. I have these custom bend fingers. Hang on.
Just grip this bitch.
Just grip it and rip it.
One-handed.
Yeah.
10 seconds.
Is this where the damn drumming and the music kicks in?
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we're back and we're in it. We're going to monitor the situation and make sure that we stay going out here. So if you're watching on YouTube right now, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. All signs indicate that we might be good to go on this one so far. But we are back in your life. This is OTP Tuesday. I'm your host, Tyler Shepardson. I think I already said that. I'm joined by Big Tom. We're going to talk more here in a second. But as always, this podcast, this whole thing that we're doing with OTP is brought to you by Yamaha USA, our good friends over at Yamaha. So big shout out to them. The best bike you can put your butt cheeks on is a Yamaha. Blue Crew, baby. That's right. Excited to go ride mine in the sands of Camp Coker this weekend after getting a couple of mud races to get the year going. Although it looks like it might be a little bit of rain this weekend, we're going to keep an eye on our radar and see how that pans out. Want to apologize for last week not being able to come on the show. Actually sold my house last week, so it was all hands on deck trying to do everything that I could to get that thing going. So do apologize. Also had a family situation pop up, so don't like to skip the show. We're being consistent, and we're trying to make things happen. So thank you for being back here with us on this glorious Tuesday, March 25th, 2025. We are joined, as always, by our buddy Big Tom, and we're going to bring in Mark Tilley of Dirt Bike Magazine here in just a few moments. Mark was supposed to be on with us a little bit ago, but we are about an hour behind schedule. After starting the stream earlier, it failing, starting it a couple more times, it failing. Tom, what do you think's going on with the stream?
You got to pay your Wi-Fi bill, homie.
Dude.
Nah, this has been chaotic. We thought we had it. We didn't. We thought we had it again. We did not. But we're live now, and we are further along in this take 6 or 9 that we have been every other time. So
I think our audio's levels are off too, so I was trying to get that dialed in while we're going.
let's see.
You take a week off, man, and everything goes to hell in a handbasket.
Hey, put in the YouTube chat, everything sound okay? Who's the first to comment?
Underfoot.
Underfoot. He said, crank it up a little bit. He said, crank it up and rip off the knob.
All right. It looks like we got our sound levels dialed in. I can hear myself better in the headphones, so I think we're on the right track. We run a loose program over here. You know what I mean? So trying to figure it out, trying to get things dialed in, but I think we got it going.
It's crazy how, the last couple shows we really haven't had any major issues, and everything's the same. Literally, everything's in the same spot last time I was here, and it's gone to hell in a handbasket.
Dude, I'll tell you what. This room is dedicated podcast studio room. I don't think that I've been in here since we did the last show, and I definitely haven't touched anything.
Well, that might be part of the problem, T-Ship.
Every episode we've done has the same settings, and now all of a sudden YouTube is telling me that the settings I was using wasn't working. But I think we're ready to go. I think we're ready to start the program.
Underfoot approved, so we're ready to rip.
I do whatever Underfoot says at all times of the day. I guess since we're running a little bit late, you can go ahead and dial up Tilley over here. See if we can get him on. That is another thing that we're doing to add to the complications of today.
This may or may not work.
We are going to try something that we've never done before, and that is make a live call in the middle of the episode. And if fate serves us correctly, it's probably not going to pop up for the video thing like it was doing to us earlier. Oh, we got it. All right, so we're going to get Mark on the line. We're going to talk to him. Mark is editor for Dirt Bike Magazine, lives in California. He is an announcer for the NGPC live streams that they have going on out there. So we're going to talk to him about West Coast racing.
Is he the one the other week that was texting you saying that West Coast was best coast?
That was him, and I'm sure we're. Now that I say that, YouTube is going wonky. Hopefully we're still rolling. Pick back up now. But now, let's go ahead and welcome into the program, Mr. Mark Tilley. What's going on? Hopefully.
Okay, so do we do vertical or horizontal?
Horizontal. Tom, make that thing full screen a little bit.
Oh.
I told you, man, we run a loose program over here.
So we do vertical or horizontal?
Horizontal. Now I hear an echo. Do you hear an echo, Mark?
Mark, do you have?
I do, but hold on. Let me turn down my stuff. Okay,
YouTube.
there we go.
Yeah. If you're watching, turn it down, whatever you're watching on.
Yeah, I just turned it off.
Sweet.
So we're in here. Oh, now my camera overheats and turns off. I guess they must have heard us on the last show, man. They're just trying to shut us down every which way they can.
So Mark, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I'm kind of weird on my screen. Oh, now Tyler's back. I'm kind of weird on my phone screen, but it looks like I'm on the live.
Might need to shift it over just a tad. A little bit more. We're gonna get this figured out.
Yeah, we'll get it figured out sooner or later.
Yeah.
All right. I think we got it. So, what's up, Mark? You and I talked quite a bit. This is your first introduction to the OTP listeners, man. Tell us a little bit about what it is that you do and why you're such a big fan of East Coast racers.
I'm a huge fan of East Coast racers, and I respect them all when it comes down to racing and doing that stuff, because I've been out there and actually seen what you guys race on. Being from the West Coast, it's I feel like I'm talking to myself now.
We still got you.
Being on the West Coast, we can start that drama right away. Is the West Coast is the best coast. But no, all joking aside, I mean the stuff that you guys do on the East Coast is pretty amazing, especially GNCC racing, running for 3 hours. I wouldn't want to do that. I've been back east and done a couple of East Coast GNCC races, just the morning race, and that 2-hour race it's gnarly. It's really gnarly. So respect to all the East Coast guys. I just like to say that West Coast is better because that's where I'm from. So that's basically, and then I'm the managing editor of Dirt Bike Magazine, work underneath the legendary Ron Lawson, and been doing that for since 2012 now. Been associated with the magazine since '97 as a test rider. So I'm old. I'm definitely old. So but it's nice to kind of go back and forth with you, Tyler, on what's happening on the East Coast, and then I tell you kind of what's happening on the West Coast and all that kind of stuff. So learning this podcast stuff, we don't do a podcast for Dirt Bike Magazine, so all of the learnings of podcasts, I go on other people's podcasts and do that kind of stuff. But I also the other stuff on live stuff I've never really dealt with until last year, doing live feed for NGPC out on the West Coast. So it's kind of fun. I get to go race with my kids and hang out and have fun. And then at the end of the weekend, get to watch the fast guys go around and do what they do best.
Heck yeah. See, you're not old, you're just experienced. But no, and I know me and you kind of banter back and forth about the East Coast, West Coast stuff, but likewise, man, I got tons of respect for the West Coast guys. You gotta represent the people where you're from. So we got a little bit of a turf war going on out here. But no, man, so the NGPC, we talked about it a little bit on the last couple episodes, and about the live feed and all that going on. So how did you get involved, like announcing and joining on and doing that with the NGPC?
I don't remember. I think in the very beginning it was somebody didn't show up, and they basically said, "Hey, you want to do this?" And I'd done announcing and stuff like that. I was definitely lucky in my career in the moto industry. I got to do a lot with Tom White, the legendary owner of White Brothers. When he was announcing, he was a really good announcer, so I got to do some stuff with him. And then Mark Moore, who was announcer for Glen Helen. I've been able to work with, great announcers out here. And then, like I said, the NGPC thing was just hey, our guy didn't show up. You want to try it? And it was like, all right, like let's do it. I know a lot of the guys, so that part's kind of cool. And then when it comes down to it, it's a lot of people think that we have a lot more kind of information going on, and we don't. Like we're basically calling it how we see it on the screen right in front of us. And I mean, even the guys that do GNCC, the I think it's Racer X Production, the guys that do GNCC, it's pretty amazing how people can just keep talking. I know that the other guy that does it with me is Jack Carpella, who does Cycle Drag YouTube and Racing Jack and all that kind of stuff. And he's the professional. Like, he's the guy that can kind of keep stuff going, and he'll ask me questions, and then I just kind of ramble, and then it kind of goes from there. But it's definitely, it's a fun thing. But it's after an hour and a half of announcing anything, as you know, you're tired. Like, I'm more tired than I am when I actually race. So it's kind of, but it's a cool thing to do, and I really enjoy it.
No, for sure. And sorry, Tom. Every time that I do that too, of course, announcing all weekend and doing the GNCC stuff in the past, everyone's like, "What's the big deal? You're sitting there talking." But until you go talk for that long and try to figure out stuff straight off the dome, it really does take a toll on you after a while.
So Mark, I got a question for you about doing the live broadcast and announcing it. So I've been pretty hard on the GNCC announcers in the past for what seems to be not being knowledgeable in ways that I think they should be. So I wanted to ask you, from being somebody that does it, how hard is it to pick up on the riders on screen and tell who is who, and do you do research on the guys racing to know really who they are and what they're doing and who they're riding for and that kind of stuff?
I'm lucky in the fact of, like, it's my job. So even when I'm not, I guess, doing research, I'm still doing research, I guess, because you're in it all the time. I think that, and I don't know the announcers on the Racer X thing or whatever it is. I don't know if they get to ride the course and where they're at and what they're doing. It's a little bit easier because I'm able to ride the course, and I race on pretty much the same course that those guys are racing on. I actually even get to race in, like, my 30 plus class. I'm racing against Giacomo Redondi, who is doing really well this year on his Cowie. So it's a little bit easier to pick those guys up because, I can ride around them and kind of understand, what their riding style looks like. The coverage that the GNCC has is definitely different than what we have on the West Coast. We have a lot more drone footage, and it can get us to where we can see the rider a little bit better and kind of see their actions a little bit better.
Well, and y'all don't have a bunch of trees everywhere to get in the way.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's the thing that I will hand it to those guys. Like, we don't have the trees, we don't have the mud, we don't have a lot of the stuff that they have to deal with. And not knowing any of those guys, but looking at it from the outside looking in, just watching a couple every once in a while, I think they do a pretty good job. They kind of, it is really hard, especially on a live feed, to pick up like who the rider is and what they're doing, unless you're pretty in tune with them. And there is one guy on there that does a really good job. And it seems like every time he talks and says, "Oh, that's such and such," it's usually that person. But you do, I think, have to do a lot of
homework,
research if you're not in it all the time. I mean, I'm lucky because, like I said, it's kind of my life in general on talking about who's doing what and what's going on. Dirt Bike itself is more of a testing magazine rather than a race coverage magazine. So on some stuff, I'm not up to date on everything that's going on. But it is, like I said, I think they're doing a good job from a person from the outside looking in. I know that, I mean, Tyler goes nuts on, he knows everybody. He knows what they ate for lunch before the race. He knows, I mean, he probably actually ate half their lunch for them, and So
Is that a fat joke?
it's cool to have people like that, because I even have people coming up to me that watch the live feed and just say, hey, it's great that we have somebody that races and somebody can give a different perspective of it. And they say expertise. I kind of laugh every time somebody says that, but it is, like I said, for me, I think it's better if somebody can ride the course and then give the example of it. I don't know if those guys do it. And like I said, I think that they're doing a great job. Some of those courses I wouldn't want to ride. The last one, there's no way I would want to ride that, but it's definitely cool to see. And I think it's great that technology brings us into this world that we have now of, I mean, you guys are back east and I'm in California, and we're all talking and hanging out, and we're hanging out with other people on the podcast as well. And, before I would have to wait until Cycle News came out on Wednesday and we got it in the mail before I knew what happened anywhere. So, I mean, it's really cool that you can go on YouTube and you can watch it. I mean, I think the first time I did not a podcast, but the first time I did one of the live feeds was last year, the week before the two-stroke national or two-stroke championship. And, it was definitely a trial by fire thing. And then the next week we were right there doing the two-stroke championship. So it's just cool that technology brings us all together and we can see what's going on right now.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point you made. I mean, the live feed for GNCC has come a long way in, I don't know when the first one was, but, with technology and the drones and even with the trees that we have, the drone footage is huge. But it is cool to, I don't get to go to all the races, but I always tune in when I'm not there and listen and watch them live. And it is good to hear you say, somebody that's not tuned in or doesn't know as much about the East Coast stuff, when you watch it, that you're pleased with the presentation that you get. So that is good to hear.
Yeah. About the only thing that I think would be a little bit cooler is, like I said, if they went into the woods and but I don't know how you would do that. Like, I mean, the National Enduro does a really cool thing. I don't think they have a live thing for it, but they do a really cool thing. And I think it's Brock Hepler following some of the pros and to where you can actually see what's going on.
Yeah,
those cool. Videos are really cool.
Yeah. That's the XC Gear follow cam. Yeah, Patty Holloway started those things out and was helping out with the National Enduro Series, and then now it's cool Brock's doing that too. But like to be able to get in the woods and dive behind them and kind of show the different pros from that perspective is a really unique thing that really I haven't seen done before, especially at that level during a live race.
They used to have them on the GNCC TV episodes. Right when Barry Hawk retired, he would get out and follow the guys, and they would plug that into the TV show. But I don't know how you do it on the live feed. And also, I think the National Enduros are just set up really well for that because it's tighter, it's slower.
Yeah.
You're not in a pack of riders where you throw somebody into the GNCCs and they're getting in the mix and getting that shot. They're going to be screwing some other people up.
Yeah. So Mark, one of the other things too that we wanted to talk to you about, and it is cool, like to your point, the technology and stuff that we have, and now with Starlink being as available as it is, I don't know if that's what you guys are using out there, but I know once it switched to the Starlink stuff out here, it kind of made it more reliable as far as the places that you can get internet. I know it used to be spotty in some areas, but it's cool just to see that technology advance. But this weekend coming up, we have the Camp Coker GNCC, which is a relatively new one. It's one of the newer tracks that we go to, but last year it was the one where your boy, the West Coast representative, Dante Oliveira, he came out and put on a battle last year. And it really was a battle down to the wire. Him and Johnny Gerard, and I think in that one, Grant Davis and Josh Toth were getting into the mix with the overall as well from the second row. But that was where Dante Oliveira was able to come over here and get the win. So from your perspective, seeing Dante race in his own element, he's got a number 1 plate on every bike he rides out there, it seems. What was it like to see that West Coast representative come out here? Because we really haven't seen an East Coast guy besides Mason Simmons this past year in the Pro 2 classes, but it's been a while since like one of our top guys went out there to compete regularly. So it was cool to see Dante come over here. What was that like from your perspective, knowing Dante so well and seeing him so much in the desert?
It was, I'll be honest, it was awesome. Like it was great to see him go back there and do well. The brothers, they have a great program out here. And they're dominating out here with what they're doing. I think Mateo's gonna step up and be a little bit more of a force to be reckoned with in the series this year. It's cool. I mean, but it would be cool if I saw the guys come out from the East Coast and do well out here as well. I really wanted Caleb to do well out here. I think that there was maybe some other stuff going on. It's so different than what you guys do back there and the kind of racing that we do out here. It's completely different. I mean, we had Kurt Caselli was one of the guys that went back there and didn't do as well as I thought that he would. So it's really, unless you do it, you don't know how different it is. I mean, out here, we're racing for an hour and a half, but at a way higher speed and then I think a works race is 2 hours in the pro class. So it's a much higher speed for Grand Prix type stuff. And until recently, I don't know if there's been a big push in Grand Prix stuff. I know that the guys from J-Day Off-Road were saying that they're a Grand Prix type series back there now. But the GNCC series and a NGPC series they're so different. They're not going to a lot of the skill set, maybe it won't really cross over to from a GNCC guy to an NGPC guy. Even works is even more moto oriented than what NGPC is. And then you have like National Hare and Hound, which is everybody refers to as desert racing. So there's so many different disciplines on the West Coast. And then, like I was telling you on your last live feed, the AMA West Coast Hare Scrambles is, I would say, the closest thing that you would get to a GNCC, because they're long, they're tight, they're technical. I guess it might be a cross between a GNCC and maybe National Enduro, without like the special tests and stuff. But I'm not really 100% sure there. But it was great to see Dante come out there. I hope that I've worked with and talked with Mason. He's working with Robbie Bell and Bob Bell from Precision Concepts out here, and didn't even think that he was at the GNCCs before he came out here. But he's doing a great job out here. He's dominating that.
He's killing it.
Yeah, him and Colton Eck out here last year were battling tooth and nail. And I think Colton's had some get-offs here recently. But he's definitely fighting really hard for him. Sam, and I know I'm going to butcher his last name, but Prichar, I think is how he says his last name, but he's doing the same thing. He's working with Robbie Bell and Bob Bell from Precision Concepts, doing lots of training. We just got done with the Glen Helen 6-hour endurance race, and I know he raced with Dalton Shirey on I believe a Husky 300 two-stroke. So it's cool to see those guys come out here. And I mean, Sam is kicking everybody's butt in the National Hare and Hound in the 250 class. So it's definitely cool to see. And I'm sure that once he steps up to that 450 class, I think Snodgrass even came out here and did well at some of the stuff. So you told me, and you sent me a stat that Thad Duvall and Caleb came out here to the Havasu round, and I think I came back to you and was like, yeah, that's not really an off-road race. That's just a long moto race. But I didn't really realize that. But
see, there's no winning, man. I talk about Ricky coming out winning West Hare Scrambles. That doesn't count. Too much like GNCC. Talk about Thad and Caleb coming out to Havasu. That doesn't count. Not a desert race.
Nope, that doesn't count. It just doesn't.
All right, well, Dante's win doesn't count because that's the fastest, most desert-like track we have. No,
well, and that's the fun part about it, is it's all just kind of bantering back and forth. And I mean, I hope nobody really takes us seriously when we're talking about this.
Oh, like, they do. They do.
I mean, moto off-road stuff and moto stuff, like we would get in an argument and then say, oh, East Coast is better, West Coast is better. And then if some moto guy came into the program, we would all band together as off-road guys and start beating up on the moto guys. So
you guys only race for 20 minutes.
Yeah, and
exactly.
That's something I was about to say is what's really cool is how talented the off-road guys really are. Like Dante come over here, he can do good. Our guys go over there and do good. Really, no matter the discipline, like the best riders in the country are the best riders in the country for a reason, no matter where they race. And I mean, even Joseph, when he came over here, I mean, like, talk about one of the best in the world. Like, they don't race anything near 3 hours over there. It's all sprints. And, you know, he managed to get on the podium at Florida.
Second, I think. Yeah, but yeah, fast guys are going to be fast. But other than the ISDE, that kind of levels out the playing field. Or sometimes, like Chile is going to go more towards the desert guys style, whereas Italy this year, especially if it gets some moisture, might lend more towards the East Coast guys style. But those are tracks that are being set up and raced one off, and everyone's racing the same thing. I think one of the big advantages with GNCC is that we've been going to a lot of the same tracks so much that these guys know it like the back of their hand. Like, they know where every rock is. They know where the tree that's missing a little bit of bark 3 foot up on the right is.
That's because they hit it the year before.
Yeah. But I think that lays a big advantage as when people from the West Coast are coming over here, and I'm sure West Coast guys have that same advantage over there. Like, do you see a way that the West Coast premier guys and the East Coast premier guys could get to a point where they're racing, I don't want to say regularly, but even like an East versus West shootout on like an even playing ground, or it bounces back and forth each coast each year? Like, do you see any feasible way to make it to where we can get the big name West Coast guys racing against the big name East Coast guys, at least sometimes?
I hate to burst the bubble, but no. Like, because there isn't really an in-between. Like, you can't, I guess if you try to find an in-between, you go, okay, well, let's make it travel-wise a little bit easier. And let's just go to Texas. And then everybody can just go to Texas. Certain parts of Texas are going to be more like West Coast. And, I mean, all of Texas is flat. So you're not going to have huge elevation changes or huge stuff like that. Like, and I think it's kind of set up fairly decent. I wish you are right that there is more money on the East Coast when it comes to off-road racing. The West Coast, yeah, there are some guys that are making a living doing it. There are those elite guys that are making a living doing it. So, I mean, I don't think that there's a way to do it, but man, if somebody came up with it, it would be pretty awesome though. I'd be there in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Well, and part of the problem is that, you know, the off-road races and the off-road series are so dependent on amateurs and guys like us that just go out there and do it for fun. Like, there's no way, and I mean, I don't see a way to have just an off-road pro series. Like, it would never work. You'd never be able to make it work.
Yeah, as far as just getting pro only.
Well, and like, it's not, I mean, realistically, it's really not that spectator-friendly of a sport, right? So, it's not like you're going to do have a pro off-road series and you have them and draw a huge crowd like a motocross race does, to where you make, the series makes the money, or the promoter or the landowner, or however all that falls and works. That, I don't see how you would do that, because you are so dependent on the amateur and vet riders and kids and.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. Like, you have, like, at an NGPC, there will be, anywhere from 1,200 to 2,000 riders in the weekend, in entries, and you only got 50 pros. Mm-hmm. So it is amateur oriented, and that's what the backbone is. I mean, it's the same thing as when it comes to amateur motocross racing. There's more slow guys and there's more normal speed level guys than there is those elite 1% guys. And I think that the big thing you're going to run into with that is travel. Travel mm-hmm. is expensive, and not everybody can do it. It would be kind of cool to see the statistics on, like, GNCC is, there's guys that come out of the woodworks to race one race a year and survive that race. Mm-hmm. Where on the West Coast, I think that we're finding that there's more people that are chasing the series than just guys that come out and race one race. I think there's certain races that get a lot of people that do one race. Like, we go to Ridgecrest, California, and there's a lot of locals there that ride, and they'll come out and ride. And then we'll go to Blythe, and there's a lot of locals that ride there. And so you'll see stuff like that. But GNCCs, they're built different. I mean, there's guys that show up with bikes and have the same dirt on it from the time that they raced that event last year.
That's a fact.
And so, but it's cool. Like, I met a bunch of people like that then when they're back there. And then the guys that are out there that are I would say the oddest thing to me to see at a GNCC was the factory guys in factory shirts pointing out lines to their racers, and then not covering up the line, but not pointing out the line to somebody that's on a different motorcycle. Mm-hmm. And that was wild to me. Like, I was like, what is this guy doing? Like, what? And it wasn't, I was going around taking pictures and doing stuff. And it was interesting. Like, yeah. It was definitely interesting. But I like the fact that we are dependent on just the average guy, especially in off-road racing, that it's the average guy that makes the world go round. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to cater to just those 50 pros, yeah, I mean, I don't think that we should do that. I don't think that we should exclude them from stuff. And I don't think there's people coming there to watch them, and there's people that stay around to watch them. But it's the people that they want to be there someday. They want their kids there someday. So it's something that helps the kids progress, and it's something that the next generation needs. But it's sometimes those pros, I've been there. I was one of them. Sometimes they think they're a little bit more important than they actually are.
Yeah, you'll get that sometimes.
Mark, let me ask you this. So say you're, and I don't know all the geographic places that y'all have races, but say you're smack dab in the middle. What is the furthest, or what's the average drive distance to get to the races? Like, for example, we're in North Carolina, and GNCC goes from Florida all the way up to Indiana, which is the furthest one from us. But majority of the races for us to drive to from here is 7 hours. I'd say is.
I mean, only a few of them are that. Like Camp Coker this weekend's 2 hours. Big mm-hmm. Buck 2 hours. Florida 6 hours. Georgia was like 3.5, 4.
Yeah, and then like most of them's in that 6 hour range.
Yeah,
and then you have Indiana, which is 9. at least. So, what's kind of that middle ground for y'all?
For the NGPC series, it's a little bit closer because it started off as a district, like a District 37 thing. So I would say the farthest one away this year will be up in Northern California, and that'll be Marysville, and that's probably about, I don't know, 8 hours away from where I'm at, and I'm pretty centrally located. Like I'm in Norco, about 30 minutes from Glen Helen, and then all the other tracks that are out here, I think, a couple hours maybe at the most. So like the NGPC will go to Blythe, they'll go to Delano, which is only a couple hours away from me, 2 or 3 hours away. So I would say the longest one for NGPC is the 8 hours away that will be up in Northern California in Marysville. They used to go to Delta, Utah, and Idaho. They did that for a couple years, and those were definitely farther away. Now the Hare Scramble series and the National Hare and Hound series goes farther away. Like they'll go up to Washington, to like Washougal, Washington area. So those ones are farther away. There's one this weekend, and I'm drawing a blank on where they're at. So those ones will go farther away. But I don't think there's a huge carryover from the people racing National Hare and Hound and AMA West Coast Hare Scrambles, and people racing like the NGPC or the Work Series. Again, it's two completely different types of racing. And I know there is people that do both, and definitely on the pro level, there's people that do both. But it would be interesting to see. I don't know. I know Meg Augiebright and Jacob Augiebright are the ones that run those two series. And it would be interesting to see what they have to say about, kind of overlapping riders and kind of going from there.
Yeah, and one of the things, as my camera goes out again, that you talked about was Meg and Jacob running those two series, and then recently they just announced that there's going to be a grand championship that kind of combines the two. I know there's things like Works, like Hare and Hound, like NGPC. What do you think of that new national championship combining the West Hare Scramble and Hare and Hound, right?
Well, and I don't know if it's a national championship. I don't know a lot about it. I know that there is lots of people that will do both the AMA West Coast Hare Scrambles and the National Hare and Hound. But I don't know if it's a national series. I think it's just like an AMA regional series.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the idea of it. I think that it's a pretty cool way of getting people to do both series. And I mean, it's a great idea. I don't know if it'll work, because that's a lot of traveling and a lot of racing. But I think it's a great idea. It doesn't hurt to try. And I know that Meg and Jacob are doing lots of really cool stuff. Again, Augiebright, as you know, a very accomplished off-road rider. I've been able to race against him towards the latter end of my career, and he's been around for a long time. And it's kind of nice to have him and laying out courses and doing stuff like that. Still an active guy in rally racing and doing that kind of stuff. So it's cool to have a racer laying out courses for racers. They have that in the NGPC stuff with Trevor Hunter, who does a lot for Dirt Bike Test, and Jimmy Lewis. Him YouTuber. Laying out some stuff. Nick Garvin, who worked with Dirt Bike for a while. He's laid out some courses. So it's really cool to see a lot of guys kind of go through the racing ranks and all that stuff, and then come back and, help the sport and come up with cool courses. I love it. Like, cause those guys come up with cool courses, and then I can go up and tell them, hey, you did a really good job. Like, that's pretty awesome. And then when they don't, then you can go back and go, hey, you kind of missed the mark on this one. So it's kind of nice.
And not to mention, as promoters themselves, it's a good move for them because now they're promoting people to come to both of their series. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so getting the attendance up at both. And Jacob, super good dude. Last year he was our saving grace in Vegas to Reno. We all Stu's team, the Red Bear team, went out there, had absolutely no idea what was going on.
I watched that. That was fun to watch.
Dude, I don't know if we would have made it to the starting line had Jacob not showed. We called him, I think it was on Wednesday night, and we were like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? And he shows up the next day, but he's making log books and routing out the whole course, and just hanging out with me. He's super cool guy. But, yeah, doing the Dakar Rally and all that stuff. It's cool to see racers that still get to stay involved with the sport and kind of build the series and kind of run that and still stay involved.
Yeah, no, and it's I got to hand it to Stu and his entire crew for taking that on. Like, if I was him, I wouldn't have come out and done that race. I would come out and done something maybe a little bit closer to what he's used to, maybe an AMA West Coast Hare Scrambles or even an NGPC. But that's the cool part when it gets down to it. It's all about riding motorcycles, and it's all about having fun. And I will, again, looking at it from the outside looking in, Baylor's program and watching him on Instagram and all that is the most entertaining thing that, like, if you could bottle that, like that, it's awesome. I mean, I've never been able to meet him. I've never been able to be around any of those guys. Justin Jones, a longtime test rider and son of Gary Jones, has been around them, and he talks about them and stuff like that. And then naturally talking to you and you've been around them and you know them fairly well. It's a really cool draw for the sport. Like, I mean, you have a guy that you look at from the outside looking in, he shouldn't be winning races. Like, I mean, he just shouldn't be winning races when he's going up against guys like Gerard, who looks like he should be winning races, and Caleb, who looks like he should be winning races. Like, it's cool because, I mean, the whole Baylor family is talented when it comes to riding on two wheels. Like, his brother can jump on a bike and go just as fast. Like, so it's really cool. Like, and I've gotten to be around some of the Ampro Yamaha guys in the past, because I've went out there to ride with them and ride Yamahas. And it's cool how down to earth those guys are as well. I've been around Auntie and the naturally the KTM crew. I got to give it to Auntie on the program that he's done with the ISDE and the whole ISDE program for the US. He's kind of brought it to another level. And there is some people that don't really get along with Auntie because he is very passionate about what he does. And I've never had any bad dealings with him in general. I got to respect him for what he's done for the sport. And like I said, off-road racing in the US and being able to go over to 6 days and the programs that he's set in and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty amazing. And you got to give credit where credit's due. And then I know that there's we like to stay off the drama here on the Pipe podcast, but
100%.
The drama of Caleb throwing it up and saying, well, you might need to talk to your guys about them cutting this course and stuff like that. But it's all I know at that time it's not all in good fun. That's all in, hey, don't come at me. You got to look in your own backyard. But everybody wants to win, and that's the cool part. Everybody wants to win, and you can see that. We don't really have those types of rivalries on the West Coast. I think everybody gets along too well. Like, so it's I know they all want to win, but everybody out here kind of gets along.
Yeah. And no, I have a ton of respect for Auntie too. I don't know if Auntie would say the same about me. Just because in this position, man, it's tough being the media guy in such a small niche world, especially coming on and talking about things that are happening right now. Like we come on Tuesday and here's what happened 2 days ago. And so if anything can be shown in a negative light, obviously if that's your lifeblood, that's what you're doing, it's going to be hard to hear. So yeah, I have a ton of respect for Auntie and recognize the job that he's done in the off-road world. And like you said, with the ISDE teams and all of that, like I said, I just don't know if he's a big OTP fan.
Well, and I think that he's used to being criticized in his job. Everybody's kind of looking at him as, he's a big deal. He's a big deal at KTM Husky Gas, and he's done a really good. And he's done a really good job. Sometimes to get to the top, you got to offend some people, and you got to do what's best for your program in general. So I believe that the Yamaha guys would do the same thing. The Cowie guys would do the same thing. Like it's a family type thing. I've been fortunate enough to, like with Timmy Wiegand, I've raced against him. I saw him go from motocross to off road, and then Anthony De Basilio, who's the Husky team manager now. Like I was around him when he was mechanicking for Kurt and doing stuff like that. And then, when he was a mechanic for other guys, and then he left to go to do his own thing. We built a couple project bikes with him when he had his deal, his own shop. And then it came up to where, he went to another shop and did some other stuff, but then ultimately got to come back to the Pierre Mobility Group and do what he wanted to always do, and to run a race team. And so I can relate, because I can see, and again, because I'm older and I've been doing this for a while, I can see where a lot of people have come from, and what they do for the sport that they don't get credit for, that people just kind of take for granted. And mainly because a lot of those times I've been sitting with them at, 10 o'clock at night, trying to figure out what they're going to do for certain people or whatever, or trying to figure out budgets and go, well, we don't have enough to do this. We don't have enough to do that. And it's like, okay, well, here, let's figure out, cut out the advertising thing. I'll do all this stuff. And then when we get on the program, then we can come back in with advertising later on, or stuff like that. So I generally think that they're naturally, just like in any industry, there's some really bad seeds that you just kind of scratch your head and go, how did they get a job, and how are they still doing this? And then, but by and large, we get to work with a bunch of really good people. Yeah. And, I get to play with motorcycles. Like, I actually have to apologize to Carson Brown, because I ignored him, because I'm on your guys' podcast right now, and he's dropping off motorcycles at my house and doing stuff, because he's in Southern California with his wife and dad. But I couldn't really bring him in here because my dog would try to rip him apart. But it's kind of cool. I get to, I'm working right now. We're all working right now, and we're getting to talk about motorcycles and do stuff. There's people that got to go to real jobs, and that kind of sucks.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Yeah, see,
Yes.
My real job, my job today was to write some stuff about the new Triumph that came out, post some stuff, kind of set out the next magazine. There's some Tyler Shepherds and stuff in that magazine as well. So thank you for the help with the East Coast stuff, because we're going to be able to bring some more inside stuff that we haven't been able to bring before. But then I went to Pro Circuit and picked up some stuff, and then got some stuff delivered at the house, and started building some other motorcycles. So it's kind of cool. Like it's I definitely don't want to have to get a real job anytime soon.
Hey, I gotta ask. Carson Brown's at your house, right? Right now.
Well, not right now. Now he left and went to his hotel because he got mad at me, probably.
What we gotta do to get him to a GNCC on a odd bike running?
Well, so that's what I was gonna bring up. Last year he did TKO on that sick KDX, and he actually did pretty good.
Yeah.
You know what? Carson is up to ride anything, anywhere. Like, I mean, Carson, his wife Claire, his dad Dwayne. Dwayne's wife, like the whole family, is awesome. Like they're great people. Like, and Carson is all about riding motorcycles. Like, and I didn't know him, and our video guy Travis Fan introduced me to Carson. And
hold on, let me jump in real quick. His dad's BBR Motorsports, correct?
Yeah, Brown Brothers Motorsports is Dwayne Brown and his brother.
Okay.
And yeah, that they're BBR. And so, like I said, Travis introduced me, and after knowing Carson for, I think the first time I was really around him for any length of time was at a Honda intro, a Honda 250 intro up in the Pacific Northwest at it wasn't Washougal, it was one of the other tracks. It's right on the other side of the river. But it was a Honda thing, and so we talked to Honda about bringing him there as our test rider and that kind of stuff. And then he brought out like a CR500 and a CR 480. And I mean, like a 1985 or something like that, CR 480. And I left crying because he rode the brand new CRF for our videos and stuff like that. And then we shot after everybody left and went back to the hotel. He rode a CR 500 until it ran out of gas, and Travis was able to video him on that. And then at the end of the day, he jumps on this 480 that, like I said, it's like early 80s. And he went faster on that thing than he did on the modern 250 and a really well-built CR500.
Wow.
And
that's insane.
Just completely blown away. And the only reason why he stopped riding was because it got dark. Other than that, like, then he came back the next day and rode just as much the next day. And I'm looking at it going, man, I'm tired just helping slap around camera stuff. I'm tired. I'm way more tired than he was when he got off the bike. And it's a great person to be around. I think he's a great role model for the kids coming up because he has a great attitude. It doesn't matter what bike you have. Like, he can go out and ride any type of motorcycle faster than I can ride a brand new motorcycle. And it's amazing. And it shows the kids, hey, look, you can do something completely different. And if I've been trying to get him out to a GNCC, because usually KTM will send us to one. But the last couple of years, it hasn't lined up. I know we got him out there to do one when I think the KTM 300 off-road bike came out. I think he went back there, but I don't think he was able to stay to ride. But he's all about it. Like, if I can figure out his schedule, usually I will get a call from his wife and say, hey, we're going to be down in Southern California. And I just go, okay, well, when are you going to be here? What bikes do we want to ride? Like, and it's a really cool relationship because he definitely come a long way in the last 3-4 years in his program in general. And I think he's doing what he was supposed to do. Like, he was trying to be a racer and race Supercross. And we had a plan in effect that nobody really knows about, but he was going to ride, I guess this is 3 or 4 years ago now. He was going to ride a YZ125 on the West Coast for Supercross. we were building, like, going to build some gnarly 125 and all kinds of stuff. And we got bikes and we started doing stuff. And then he got a call to try out for the AEO KTM team. And he called me and he's all bummed about it. And he's, man, you know, I go, Carson, this is why we were doing this. We were doing it to get you some recognition so you can get a ride.
Yeah.
And he did. He stayed fairly healthy for that year and did pretty well. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, I'm all about getting him out there. Like if we can come up with somebody for him to ride with, or a bike that he can ride back there, like it would be awesome to send him out there and to do that kind of stuff.
Well, I did hear rumblings and bumblings, and obviously work pretty closely with Stu, but they've had some stuff going back and forth about trying to line something up. I know last year he raced that KDX at TKO and then stayed after, and I believe it was KTM 80s that he raced against Manny Lettenbichler on. But I think they've been talking back and forth about possibly doing a KX 80 or a KX 85 battle between Stu and Carson. I know that they've talked about it a little bit. I don't know how feasible it is or how stuff like that comes about, but I know there's interest. So something like that would be, because like you said, like Carson gets the people going with all the stuff that he does and kind of being a one-off guy doing what he does. And then Stu obviously gets the people going by being Stu Baylor. But yeah, line is, because posted a video of Stu on his little cousin Caleb Wood, who just won the last 2 years of youth overall championships. He posted a video of himself riding Caleb's Super Mini, going way faster than anyone that big should be going on a Super Mini, and like honestly rips that thing. And I think that's how the whole thing first came about. But something like that, I think would be cool.
Well,
if we
and that would
make
be
it happen.
awesome. Like that would be really cool to see, because again, like you said, getting different personalities together and doing that. And I know that's kind of how I've written a couple stories on. I think in the magazine that's out on newsstands right now has Cody Webb on the cover, and we did a thing with the Eras bike that he rode against Cianciarulo. And then I just did a story on the Eras bike that he rode, the RM85 that he rode against Roxon. So it's kind of cool because we have a pretty good system that we didn't know was going to work well. But Mario from Red Bull lives about an hour and a half away from me tops.
Tell him I said what's up.
And and he takes a lot of Carson's bikes back and forth because they can come down to Southern California. They can ride around with us. We can do some video stuff with Carson. I give Carson bikes to ride when he's down here and do stuff because it's just cool content. So a lot of those bikes that come back from Day in the Dirt or from different stuff will somehow come through my garage or my shop. So it's kind of nice. I've gone up there and picked up a couple bikes for him, but it's a really cool thing because it's that whole moto community or off-road community, whatever, coming together and going, hey, I got a bike here, but I don't have enough time to go get it. Like, are you able to grab that for me? It's like, yeah, no problem. I'll go do that. And then I see what bikes he has and I go, oh, well, I'm going to shoot that in the studio before you get here because I'm going to do a story on it. So, and then we're going to take some pictures and because people need to know about this. And so it's really cool. Like there's been stuff. I have way too many project bikes at my house all the time. And there's been stuff to where Carson's come in and go, oh man, we've been looking for something like that. And I go, here, take it. Like get it out of my house because I won't have to actually build this thing. I know that you'll build it. So when it comes back around to do that, then just let me photograph it and let me tell people about it and we'll go from there. So it's a great working relationship. That's for sure.
Sweet. It sounds like it, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on and joining us tonight. Just want to ask you one more quick question. I can let you get back to it. Maybe you can drag Carson back out of the hotel and back over there if he wants to. But this week we kind of talked about the off-road racers. I know Gus Reardon was another guy that spent some time out west with his brother Will, and now he's over here in the east. But Mason Simmons, who we mentioned kind of took things by storm last year, and wrapped up a couple championships in the Pro 2 class. He's actually in town. They're about 30 minutes up the road from where we're at right now, from my house at the Oz Ranch. But seeing his progression that he's made over there on the West Coast these past couple seasons, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but I think Mason's first GNCC podium was his final race over here, Indiana, at Ironman at the end of 2023.
I thought he podium Coker that year.
I'm not sure. So one, maybe two podiums, and then goes out there and wins a couple championships. Well, this week he's back and he's racing at GNCC. So just seeing him evolve as a rider out there for NGPC, and I know, like you said, you worked with him a little bit. How do you expect his results to be as he comes back and lines up with these guys that he spent a couple years racing over here after having the success out there?
Well, now I guess technically he's a West Coast guy, so he's going to come out there and just whack everybody. Like, that's how it's going to work.
You walked right into that one, T-Shirt.
So, and if he does, I'll claim him as a West Coast guy. If he doesn't, he'll just be an East Coast guy that's moonlighting out here, I guess. No, he's been, to see the progression of it. Like, he came out here and he raced around, and he wasn't supposed to stay. I think he was supposed to go home. And then the RPM KTM guys gave him a ride. And he just kind of kept progressing. I know he's hooked up with Robbie Bell out here, and he's doing lots of training with Robbie Bell. Mm-hmm. For those of the OTP guys that don't know who Robbie Bell is, multiple works champion out here. Don't know if he ever won an NGPC actual championship, but I'm sure he did. Big Baja guy with the Baja contract. And then Bob Bell, his dad owns Precision Concepts. And that was the other person that Mason hooked up with. That, I mean, if you have a good handling motorcycle, and Bob Bell's great, I have my Precision Concepts hat on. But I've been lucky enough to be with Precision Concepts since I think like 2004, like when I first started racing in GPC stuff kind of full time. And Bob is great with testing, great with all that stuff. So I think that it's definitely he's been lucky in some aspects of it to hook up with the right people on the West Coast. And then, I mean, he's putting in the time and effort and really, really grinding and really doing great out here. I think he's going to do fairly well. I think he's going to turn some heads. Because I think that he's in shape, definitely in shape for racing on the West Coast. And then I think working with Bob and definitely with Robbie. Robbie's really good at kind of getting his riders to know if the bike can be better and having them all of his riders kind of train together and do stuff. I think Mason might have learned a lot about himself in the last couple of years out here. I don't particularly know him personally. Like, I've been around him and interviewed him, but a great guy. But I think that he's definitely starting to come into his own, and hopefully he goes back there and does well. But I think that he's going to.
And I will say I have heard that he has been putting it to the boys at Oz Ranch this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Got some insider info.
Yeah.
Now, what is Oz Ranch?
So Oz Ranch, the Reardons. Oh yeah, Tom's wearing his Oz Ranch T-shirt. So the Reardons and Josh Strang kind of went together on a property. It was actually the JGR, the Joe Gibbs Racing team spot that they had their moto track. And so the Aussies have now bought it and turned it into a training facility. And now actually all of them but Strang live on site out there. But yeah, so Gus, Lyndon Snodgrass, Mason Simmons when he was here, Will Reardon when he's in town, and Josh Strang all kind of use that as their hub, their training facility, and got tracks and trails and grass track and hard enduro sections and all sorts of stuff.
Enduro track.
Yeah, enduro cross.
Oh, wow, that's cool because I got to go there.
And they let me hunt there.
2018, I think.
Mm-hmm.
the end of 2017, beginning of 2018 for a Suzuki intro. That's
For
pretty
JGR?
Cool. For JGR. Well, it's for Suzuki, but naturally the JGR team. And so all the media got to go there, and I just saw that they had Supercross tracks and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, that place that they had at that time, if it's the same place, was awesome.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Like,
yeah. So the Supercross track's still there, and some of the Phoenix guys, I think Josh Hill, ride on it and keep it up. And then they've got the moto track is obviously, fully irrigated and everything. And then as soon as you pull in and it opens up into that field, Will's built a full massive enduro cross track there too. So
everything there is scaled up.
Yeah.
The enduro cross track scaled up. Josh Hill peaked the supercross track up to like video game style.
Yes. Yeah, see that's cool. And I mean, it's one of those things to where it's kind of funny because you look at those guys to where, I mean, they've been here in Strang. I mean, I've gotten to ride with Strang out here on the West Coast a little bit, and another like one of those great people to be around. But they've been here for so long, you kind of just take them as that they're just Americans. Like they're just funny speaking Americans. So it's definitely a cool thing when it comes to, like, it's great to see those guys, like, again, staying in the sport, able to make a living, able to kind of transition into like what Strang's doing as a team manager and a rider, and like just doing stuff for the kind of the next generation. And then you see 4 or 5 Aussies come over, and then they have the facility for them to race at and to do stuff and to maybe stay in the US and make a living racing motorcycles. And it's, I mean, all of those guys that I've met are really nice guys, but it's just kind of cool. And it's great for the sport because you have the Strang style and maybe the Aussie style of doing stuff. And then you have the Baylor style of doing stuff that are completely different.
Yeah.
And then you go over to the Ampro style of doing stuff, and they have a great facility there. I've been able to go to their facility and to kind of eat lunch at the cabin that sports the Confederate flag and next to the little pond. And like, so it's really cool to see just the diversity of that. I know that, from talking to you, Tyler, you're saying that the Caleb Russell was training a lot of the KTM guys when he was still part of the KTM thing on his land and doing stuff. So Caleb has his own little compound and does his own stuff. So it's just awesome to see because that's not something we have out here. Like when guys are on the West Coast, we don't have compounds like that. Like and I'm a little bit envious of it because you can have that, but it's done differently out here. Like everybody that's kind of in Southern California, you got to kind of do moto, like, and you do moto, and then, you can go up and you can do some desert stuff when there's water in kind of the atmosphere. That doesn't happen very often out here in California, but you're at a lot of moto tracks, and then having those facilities, it would be kind of cool to have them out here. I just don't know if we would be able. Naturally, none of us would be able to afford it because we're trying to afford just regular houses. But it's cool to see that type of commitment and everything in the sport.
Yeah, it kind of well, I don't know where it started. I don't want to get into who did what first again on the show, but Stu has the Shoals down there. Caleb actually has a Ranch Russell in North Carolina and a Ranch Russell in Florida.
Oh, wow.
Strang and them have the Oz Ranch. So, yeah, it's kind of cool to see the training facilities and areas pop up. And a lot of those guys, they all have moto tracks at their places and ride a lot of moto as well. So, now it's definitely an interesting dynamic, but yeah, I need to make it out west so I can experience this West Coast phenomenon that you're talking about, and so I can pronounce people's names right and stuff.
Well, and then you're always going to pronounce people's names wrong and get yelled at for it and all that stuff, because I still do that now.
Like
just
that
kind of
Sam fella,
apologized.
I've been saying Preshneer, I think, this whole time. And you said something completely, I don't know what
Well,
his name is now.
and the only reason why I know, I would say Pritchard, but that's me. Whereas Jack, the other guy, he was talking to Sam, and I want to say that how he pronounces his name is Prashar, but I'm not 100% sure because when I talked to him on the podium, I just said, I'm just gonna call you Sam.
Sam.
It's easier. So it's
well, so like
yeah,
Kai Iao, that always trips me up. Like when I write his name down in results, I literally just write IAO, so that way I remember. Because when I look at it, I start to have a stroke.
Yeah, well, and I even mess up stuff like I have a test rider named Harlem Nelson, and because I'm used to saying Michaela Nielsen,
yeah,
I call him Harlem Nielsen all the time in the race, and he's such a good kid that he comes up to me. His dad will come up to me afterwards and go, Nelson, it's Nelson. And so it's kind of cool. And but like I mentioned something about Kai's family, and you don't very often get this. I mean, usually magazine wise, you have to have really thick skin because you're always doing something wrong, like no matter what. Like,
I know the feeling.
even if you look at it, like we have a guy that sends us stuff on Instagram all the time saying, like, and it never fails. And he's like, man, if I made this many mistakes at my job, I would get fired. And he's mentioning like a typo or something, or we spelled somebody's name wrong. And he goes, I found another one. And I'm looking at it, and I don't have the heart to tell the guy, like, I laugh at it, and Ron and I both laugh at it. And I go, yeah, but you didn't catch the other 10 typos that are in there and all of these because we didn't catch them when we were going through corrections. But as soon as that thing's printed, it stands out like it's a sore thumb.
Yeah.
And so,
then it's too late.
It's like, yeah, I said something about Kai's family because his dad passed away. And then the guys at the PR Mobility Group do a group bicycle ride every year. And it's like Live Like Rocky or something along those lines. And I mentioned something about that. And his mom came up to me and said, thank you very much for, saying that. And it's kind of just about the time you get to the point to where you're like, I'm done with this. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, everybody's just, coming down on me and everything like that. And it's one of those things, something like that happens. And I look at it and go, that's God kind of reaching down and going, no, you're doing what you should be doing. Just keep going. And it's a great thing. And there is so many of those types of stories on every single line, whether it's the XC1, the XC2, or the first timer line. There's stories like that if you actually, take the time to talk to people and do stuff, it's everywhere. And that's kind of what keeps me coming back to this sport. And I mean, it's a great family atmosphere too.
100%. That's exactly how I feel. Those things happen all the time. Just when I think I'm fully out, something pulls me right back in. But no, man, I appreciate you joining us, and I know I hit you up right before the show just to kind of come in and talk about it, but appreciate you taking the time out and blowing off Carson Brown for OTP. Really
yeah, well, and maybe we can get Carson on one of these things when he's down here again. I think that we should do a weekly West Coast versus East Coast thing in general.
We need West Coast Wednesdays, man.
Yeah, we could call it like we could call it. We could do something like that. It's again, we don't have the right kind of. We need people in the comments to tell us how to do it and what they would want to watch. Yeah. And I saw somebody in the comments because I have it on behind my phone, but somebody said, ask Mark if Mr. Know-It-All really does know it all, and he does. He knows it all. Just ask him; he'll tell you.
I saw that pop up, but I didn't know the backside story, so I don't want to be making enemies on the West Coast too.
If it wasn't underfoot, doesn't hold any water.
Underfoot's
weight.
#1 OTP guy.
We do what
Well, and-
Underfoot says.
And it's funny because Mr. Know-It-All it started out as a joke, like, and being in the magazine world for so long, like now, and being associated with them, they don't know it all. But,
The segment in the Mr. Know-It-All in the magazine, for those that don't know.
It's a thing in the back of the book that basically people back in the day would write in and ask questions and kind of go from there. And then Mr. Know-It-All, it's kind of evolved because it used to be, back in the day, it was more sarcastic and more like, oh yeah, of course, this is how you do it. And
yeah.
Now it is more of an informative thing. And we have a lot of really good people. The crew at Slavens Racing does a lot of the technical questions. Ron Lawson will do a lot of those technical questions as well, but it's something that for me in the magazine world, I'll be the first to admit, I don't like it. Like I don't like doing that section. Like I kind of look and go, hey, we can change that out for something else. But it is kind of cool that there's people that pay attention to it. And if there is stories, every once in a while, you'll get people going, oh man, that was a really good story. And it keeps you coming back. If somebody looks at it and goes, oh man, that was a really cool podcast. Then, it makes you want to do that next one. So it's definitely like, I think we should do something. I just don't know what it is because people are going to get tired of listening to us.
Well, I don't know. It's a fickle game, but there's definitely a need for the conversation, and it's been kind of cool to kind of grow off road and do the video stuff as well as the podcast stuff to kind of keep it growing. And I try my best to talk about the West Coast stuff, but all I can do is read down the results. Like GNCC, I'm boots on the ground. I'm riding my Yamaha around, having a good time, so I know what's happening. I know the guys, and so that's where I think that it could be a lot of value of having someone like yourself out there that is in the mix of it. Because, I mean, like you and I talked about, we're kind of doing the same things just on opposite sides of the country. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I do it a little bit faster on the racing side.
I told you about my C-Class championship. All right?
Well, and I like how you put in there on riding around on my Yamaha, and because that's really good corporate sponsorship. So the other thing that we got to do is I'm going to call you out on the podcast. We got to get that project bike going.
Let's do it. I'm in.
You have this Yamaha, and you talk about C-Class championship and all that kind of stuff, but I see you covering the races. I want to see some footage of you riding the races, and then I want to see some footage. I want to see, like, we need to build that bike. I know Justin Jones has his WR450. He went and picked it up.
Yeah.
And I know Ron's talking about coming back there to do some local race with Justin, and then shoot him for the story and stuff like that. So
hopefully it's a Mid-East hair scramble.
I don't know. I'll have to ask Justin what it is. I think it's the end of, I want to say the end of April, beginning of May, or there might be one the end of May. Cause I know we have a Yamaha Super Tenere intro, and then a dual sport Suzuki intro somewhere right in there that we're trying to go around. But yeah, we got to get your bike built. I know we've talked about it. And maybe that might be the podcast to where we talk about next time we talk about what you're going to put on your bike and why. Because then you can talk about Yamaha all day long, and then we can kind of go from there, and you can make that extra money.
Maybe I'll race it then.
I need to hit the boys up about the Tenere intro. I rode one of those straight into a deer and snapped my leg in half, so I'm pretty familiar. I also rode a Tenere 2 Big Buck, raced the Big Buck.
I don't think that's a really good
selling point.
A good thing to open with when you're talking to them about coming to another one.
Oh no, that was it wasn't at an event, but as soon as I got there, because I know Damon Bradshaw does a lot with him, so I was talking to Ulrich and Bradshaw. I was like, hey, just so you know, I did some durability testing of my own, and I showed them the pictures. They were stoked. That's how I got my in. Because I didn't crash.
Well,
hit it at 65, didn't crash.
And those two guys would be the two guys that would want to see something like that. Like those are again two really good guys, and just fun to hang out with and go riding with. And both of them really good on a motorcycle too. So, but yeah, we got to get your bike being built, because then we can do some kind of podcast with that as well. But I'm all about coming back. Like, I'm all about talking about what's going on the West Coast. It's great for me because you guys have a better idea of, like you said, your boots on the ground out there. You know way more about what's happening out there than I'm going to get, because I don't get any of that stuff. We don't normally go back there. We'll go back there a couple times a year, but I'm kind of getting what I'm seeing for race coverage. And then again, talking with you about everybody back there, it's been a bit better insight for me, and then better for me to be able to, write little stuff in the magazine, when we're doing something on like a Caleb Russell bike or something like that. And you're going, oh yeah, this is the first time he's ridden a 450 or raced a 450. And I'm going, wait, what? Like, what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And so then you kind of rattle all this stuff off and I go, oh, wow. Like maybe that might've been some of the struggle that he had when he came out on the West Coast, because he was riding a 450 and, being able to, like, if he dropped down to a 350, would he have done better or whatever? So it's great for me. And again, I appreciate your guys' input, because it makes a better magazine for us to get out to people. And hopefully it makes a better podcast as well.
Well, good deal. You definitely made it a better podcast tonight. So thanks again for joining us. And I'll be in touch about the bike build stuff. And, I didn't know how much I was allowed to go into detail, but appreciate the help with the magazine. I know we got some stuff coming out in the next couple months, so stoked for that. And, appreciate it.
All right. Sounds good. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right.
How do I get off of this thing?
We'll just end the call.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice to meet you, Mark.
We're new to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, it worked pretty good. Like, we didn't do too bad.
Mission accomplished after a few attempts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. See you, man. Thank you.
Have a good one, Mark.
All right, so that was Mark Tilley, editor of Dirt Bike Magazine, joining us there to talk about some West Coast stuff. I was going to break some big news to Mark on the phone, just didn't see the right opportunity, then we moved past it. So if Mark is still listening to this afterwards, I guess, Tom, now's a good time to break some news. Mark Tilley can get his pen ready, get his typing fingers ready. We're talking about Jacob Augubright and how he raced Dakar. He's a 18-time Vegas to Reno champion. Give or take a few. He's won it several times. But being involved in sport, like riders, being able to set up courses out here on the East Coast, we've seen a rider start a race team, develop it for a couple years. And now, I'm pretty sure that we can talk about it now because he said it on a podcast last week, but Stu Baylor is allegedly the new owner of the National Enduro Series, the series of which he is a 6-time national champion of, which is going to be a pretty interesting dynamic when you see all that come together. So that's a replay. But now that information is out, and I believe we can talk about it because, like I said, it was talked about on a podcast. Stu was going to join us tonight. I haven't heard back from him yet. What is your first thoughts hearing that of seeing a guy that's so well accomplished in National Enduro now going to be the one help laying out trails and setting the whole thing up?
Can he still race it?
Yeah, why not?
Well, how's he going to set the trail up and race it too?
Well, so National Enduro, the clubs kind of do most of the work. And so
and did he buy it from Sipes?
I think there was a group of ownerships, and now obviously Sipes is his team manager. So I don't know the dynamics. Just know that when I got to Talladega, that the National Enduro rig was parked behind the Red Bear Kawasaki rig. And that's when I was like, holy shit, I guess this is happening.
Damn, that's wild. I mean, good for him, I guess. He knows he ought to. They've been doing it since they were damn young kids, so he ought to know how to run it. He's been around them forever, so. But that's cool. That's interesting. It's like you don't hear of many series of that size with a racer team manager owning the series too. So
yeah, especially a
such a prestigious series.
prestigious series and such a prestigious rider of the series. Like, he's a 6-time national champion. That's been his focus. The last 10 years of national enduro champions are on that same team. And so, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how the whole thing plays out into the future. And no doubt it's exciting if it is true. I believe it to be true.
Yeah,
but for legal purposes, it's just allegedly what I heard.
Allegedly. Apparently.
Either that or National Enduro needs to report a rig stolen.
Oh, man.
But no, I was excited for Stu to come on and kind of chat about it. But moving into a new house, building a house, running a facility, running a team, there's a lot of stuff on his plate.
He's got a lot going on.
So I understand.
Yeah. So, what else we got to talk about?
That was pretty big news, and now you're just trying to move right on.
Well,
off of it.
I mean, I don't know what to say about it. It's National Enduro, man.
I
feel like this it's big news, but at the same time, it's like the series has been around for so long. So what's really going to change? Like what? I mean,
well,
just keep the ball rolling like it is.
I guess that'll be a question for him.
Yeah.
That's
what you need to do is get Stu. Get him to come on here and. I was going to say blabble, but I don't think that's a good word, but talk about it and talk it up.
Stu usually minces his words. It's tough to get information out of him.
Yeah. I thought you were serious.
We will know every bit of information once we get him on
absolutely.
here and chat about it. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to this weekend, the Camp Coker GNCC.
Mm-hmm.
One of the favorites each year. I don't know why. I don't like that track. I don't like racing it. A lot of people do.
Not a huge fan of it either.
I like it like 2 hours after the race. I like it.
I tell you what, the whole everything but that 2 mile section that's at the back of the property that is literally 4-wheeler wide and it's just a damn windy, switchbacky, one line shit. It's terrible.
See, I don't mind that stuff.
No,
what I don't
terrible.
like is going fast.
No, that's the good part of the track. You can stand up, you can flow, you can where the pines open up, you can find smooth lines. But this 2 mile section that's literally there's nothing smooth about it. You can't get off of the rough shit. If it's wet, you're in.
Shout out Underfoot.
Let's go. If it's wet,
turn my camera off.
If it's wet, it's 2 miles of a rut, and it sucks. It's the worst part of the track. If it wasn't for that 2 mile section, the track would be awesome. It would flow. It would be good. And that's how it was before they added that section in. Underfoot is, these boys are trying to buy you a new camera, I think.
We're going to need it. I don't know.
We got another 10 from Edward.
So,
just joining in here. Is it possible to buy OTP merch at Camp Coker? Do you have any left?
What size do you wear, Edlin? And thank you, Edward, so much for the money. Underfoot, Edward, y'all are my homeboys. Underfoot, #1 OTP fan in history.
He's number 10.
Appreciate you. I talked to your mom the other day, and she asked me about the camera overheating. And she said, well, did you get a new one? I said, no. She said, well, did you figure it out? And I said, no, I'm going to do the same thing I always do and expect different results. And not different results. My camera keeps shutting off. Shout out, Lee. But yeah, no, I really appreciate that, you guys. I didn't know that was possible until Underfoot randomly discovered our channel and thought we had been hacked and that our subscriber count was wrong. But now he follows around. He follows along.
He's on here every show,
so we appreciate it.
Love it.
But no, Camp Coker. So the first year is a complete washout. I spent like $1,500 in parts after that race just from burying it everywhere. But Camp Coker, great facility, one of the best spectator tracks of the year. I plan to win the fishing tournament Saturday, so y'all be on notice that that's happening. But the track is good. I love sand, dude. I love sand. I don't like going fast, and I don't like roots. And so Camp Coker, you got to go fast and hit roots. So that was just personal preference. Track is great. Just
not for you.
Yeah, scary for me.
I wish they still went across the bridge, the island, the bridge.
Yes.
The pond. That was sick.
Dude, so one of my biggest moments. So, Cole Madison, we talked about him. Oh yeah, that is Camp Coker.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see if I can move Tom's camera over here. So this picture. Oh crap!
Oh, yep, you fucked up.
I done ruined everything.
Battery exhausted.
Now we got 2 cameras that are out.
What just
How charges
happened?
that computer? Because that was the charger that I took.
Oh, that's good. It's at 88%.
Battery exhausted. It said.
God almighty.
So anyway,
you just had to go there, didn't you?
What I was trying to show was the picture.
See, this is the. You need to retitle this episode to.
Can it go wrong?
It will go
It
wrong.
will.
We need title it. We need more money for equipment. Less technical difficulties. Donate now.
Actually, dude, shout out Blue Crew. Shout out Yamaha. I did just get my Yamaha funding, so I think it's time to get all new cameras in the studio. We're gonna look at that this week.
We are blacked out right now.
Right
And
now.
we hadn't even been drinking.
We are
How
zero
does that
cameras
happen?
in.
We are not good.
All right, so we got one camera plugged in, one camera's overheating, but we're still with you in audio form. So anyway, back to the picture that is over Tom's shoulder. We'll show it to you if a camera ever turns back on at some point. But that was a race where I raced Camp Coker, and I was racing 125 BC. I think I finished second that day. And because I raced 125 BC, I was one of the last people to not get lapped. So that means I was one of the last people off of the track. So I get done, and I'm walking back over, and running super late for the start. So that's the picture right there.
How do I get out?
Running super late. So I take off on my bike, still in my race gear, riding as fast as I can down to the starting line. They're like throwing the flag as I'm getting there. I jump off my bike. It goes in the woods. I run through the woods as quick as I can, get to the first spot that I can, kneel down, take that photo. I think it's the second or third turn. And if you look at it, it's Caleb Russell on the inside, Thad Duvall in the middle, and Ricky Russell on the outside. And after 3 hours of racing, that's how they finished, 1, 2, 3. And so I got that picture in 1, 2, 3 in that outside corner. It's actually autographed by all three of them. That was the weekend after I quit working for GNCC. I'm not going to go into it, but the weekend after I quit working for GNCC. And that was also the first picture that I ever had in a magazine. That was a 2-page spread in Racer X.
Hell yeah.
And I got paid for that the weekend after I quit working for GNCC. And I got paid more for that photo than I made in a weekend working for GNCC. So it's a cool story. So that's why I printed it off, got it signed. But anyway, back to the island and the bridge. Cole Madison, rest his soul, R.I.P. Cole. We talked about that on the show when it happened. Just another great talent, great kid, gone way too soon. But one of the first things that I thought about when I heard the news of Cole's passing was, I believe it's 2017, 2018. But come around and Cole Madison is in the lead, like way out in front, and drops down on that. I was sitting at the bridge waiting. No one in sight, can't even hear a bike, and here comes Cole, like across the bridge, jumps over the island, jumps onto the bridge, and takes back off, but just out by himself, like. Ride of a lifetime.
Supermanis?
No, XC2.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that was always just a cool thing that kind of stuck with me, and that was one of the things I thought of when I heard the news of Cole's passing. So rest in peace, Cole. But yeah, just a lot of memories. Camp Coker. It's a good race, fun race.
Yeah. It's like it's a fun race to go to. It's not fun. I don't enjoy it. You don't enjoy it. There's a lot of people that do enjoy it. And it is a sweet property. Like, it's probably, I'd say it's in the top 3 properties we go to.
Yeah.
I'd say that one, the Boy Scout camp, and Snowshoe, which is Snowshoe's one off. But
yeah. And for so many people, too, that grew up racing the Camp Coker motocross track. Like, I didn't race when I was little, but like that first year at Camp Coker, I went with Carlo Gagliardo and TJ Snow and Robert Berry and Dustin Simpson, like all these dudes that grew up racing there.
They were jazzed about it, I'm sure.
Where Zach Osborne was racing on mini bikes and Malcolm Stewart and Justin Barsha, like just the history. Now we're 2 cameras down again.
God almighty.
Just the history of that place, I think, is kind of one of the things that make Camp Coker a really cool place to go to as well.
Oh, we got
Jeez,
we got another $9.99.
Hey, man.
For a while, I really enjoy the.
Y'all are gonna make me damn shed a tear.
Choo.
This is awesome.
Damn,
Appreciate you guys for supporting the show.
That's $29.99 tonight.
Dang.
It's a big money night.
It's a big
Let's
time
go.
stream. No, I mean, we laugh and joke about it, but like, I'm super appreciative of it. Kind of, and Mark said one of those things that kind of like stuck with me there at the end, like talking about the story about Kai's family and telling that. Like, there's been so many times, and last week was one of those times where it's like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I need to turn this whole thing away, move on with my life, and then it's something that always brings you back. But like, even like this is just a gesture. It's probably small in a lot of people's minds, but like this reinforces that what we're doing is important, and it is cool to bring some type of coverage to this sport because there really isn't in this form anything like it. So like, it's easy to get down on myself. It's easy to listen to some people in the background, and it's stuff like this that really makes it mean a lot to me. So I sincerely do appreciate it, because stuff like that makes me think that we got to keep chugging along.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so last year,
shoo,
geez,
this guy rounded it up for
what
us.
is going on?
Hell yeah, thanks,
Scott
guys.
Rocher, shout out. Now I feel like I'm panhandling. I wasn't saying that for more money. I was saying that because I really meant it. That's Canadian dollars too. Is that more or less than $10 in freedom units? Is there? Do I have to pay a tariff on this now?
Oh man, he got your ass good.
Man, no, I really appreciate Scott Rocher. He's a guy that messages back and forth with me quite a bit online too. Seth as well, and yeah, dude, that means a lot. Appreciate you guys.
Let's you know what we get to do tonight? It's your favorite thing to do. I'm
not doing predictions.
Yes, we are.
I'm not doing.
We have $1 on it. We gotta up the dollar.
Scott said it's about $2 US. Edward liked my tariff comment.
Let's see, race season bets. Here we go. Did anybody get the one in Florida?
Hey, man, I really appreciate that. No, I went through every single message individually. No one got it.
How many messages did you have?
More than I thought. Like, I kept seeing them come through. I'm sorry to everyone that messaged me. I did get to the point where I copy and pasted my response and was just sending it. It was like, oh, nice picks. Just because there was so many of them. Just another validation. People listen to OTP.
I'm putting it on here. Camp Coker podium bets plus $1. So we're up to we missed Talladega. So
you know what else we missed?
We're up to $3. We're up to $3 here. So
what else we missed was this episode is brought to you in part by our good buddy.
I was wondering if you were going to get it.
Zach Tussle at Raymond James Financial. Zach Tussle is a racer and a financial advisor, and his lovely wife and lovely son came over to watch Supercross on Saturday night at my house that Tom said he was coming to and fell asleep and bailed and never showed up at.
Yeah.
So
sorry.
Zach Tussle was here. We were talking about some financials. But no, Zach is a racer and a financial advisor. Helps his clients win when it comes to retirement and financial planning. If you're someone you know wants to save and invest for the future, or is already retired and looking for advice for income during retirement, Zach Tussle is always my first recommendation. You can find out more by going to TussleInvestments.com. That will give you everything you need to know. Let him know that you listen to OTP. You get a free consultation. He'll let you know exactly how it is that he can help you save and plan for your financial future. I said it a lot before. You don't have to have $1 million. You don't have to already be super wealthy. You just have to want to save and invest for the future. And the best time to start is yesterday.
Is he racing this weekend?
I would imagine so. It's Camp Coker.
Yeah.
I would think so. If you want to talk to us about financials, he'll be at the race this weekend.
Yeah. I tell you what. If you listen to On the Pipe, if you listen to the show, and Tussle beats you in the overall, you need to call him up and invest with him, and it'll make you faster.
It will. And spoiler alert, that's probably the large majority. He's fast.
He's
dude.
good.
Also, Brandon Dimmer, DPG, Dimmer's Precision Grading, full-service grading service here in the greater Charlotte area, whether you need land cleared, whether you need things graded, any type of land moving work, they can help you out. DimmersPrecisionGrading.com. Also follow them on the socials at Dimmers Precision Grading. Yeah, good buddy of mine. Also another fast racer, qualified in 2 different classes for Loretta's this year, or at least to go to the regional. And has a track and trails and stuff at his house.
He's going to have a full gas.
He is going to have a full gas. I'm glad you mentioned that. What's the date?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know. It's this year. It's in 2025.
It's coming up. It's one of my off weekends, actually.
Really? You going?
Yeah, I'm going. Where else would you want to be at?
The DPG compound.
We were just talking about
it not in your calendar?
I don't think so. Oh, he got a personal number. When is that?
Here, I got it. You keep talking. I'll find it.
All right, look up when the full gas is.
I forgot I had access over here.
I mentioned that Brandon Dimmer has tracks and trails at his house. This year he will have a full gas, what do they call it now? Full gas off-road event.
Off-road series.
At his account at the DPG compound, all freshly groomed by him and his 8-year-old son.
I saw that. That was cool.
You can see how good their work is in person, live in person, as soon as we can get the schedule pulled up. It's in Kings Mountain, North Carolina. And it's actually a really cool track. So a few weeks ago, he had a pit bike race. And I went out there, and I was going to race, but I didn't. But I hung out.
10th.
May 10th. Is that Mother's Day?
Ooh. Get your mama. Get your wives.
I believe that's Mother's Day.
Take them to the dirt bike race.
Yep. May 10th is a Saturday, is the day before Mother's Day. There's no Mid-East. There's no GNCC. There's no National Enduro, which means you should be at the DPG compound.
You can take your mama, you can take your wife to the race on Saturday, and then
celebrate Sunday.
You can take her out for Mother's Day on Sunday, too.
See? Best of all worlds.
Win your mama a trophy.
So, yeah, that is coming up. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will be there. I might actually race.
Hey, you should. You got a dirt bike. You got a Yamaha.
I got the best dirt bike.
It's dirty. You ought to wash that damn thing.
You're not supposed to tell people that.
Oh, it's nasty. You need to clean it up.
So
you gotta clean it up.
When Tilley was talking about, there's people that show up to race GNCC with dirt on it.
I almost said there's still dirt from the last GNCC on T-Shap's spot.
I was thinking that, but then he said dirt from the last year. I was like, oh, mine's just the last race.
Well, that's not from Talladega, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not that dirty.
Yeah. Well, I stayed on the edges. And when I was leaving, I hit a bunch of puddles.
Nice.
Try to rinse it off a little bit.
Tesla didn't short out?
Well, no, on the dirt bike. But then driving home in the rain, like, it's kind of funny if you look at it. Like, half of the wheels are spotless, where the wheels stick out past the car just a little bit.
Yeah.
And the wheel water got to them. But, hey, it ain't called clean bike racing. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Underfoot says hit the like button if you're chill, and I agree. If you're watching this, hit that like button. I don't know what it means. I don't know what it does, especially when we're this far at the end of the episode and we can't even keep a camera running.
I think it gives you money for a new camera. All right, I got mine down.
That's on the docket. We're gonna have new cameras next week.
Why would you say that? Because now we're not gonna be able to.
Because it's a problem.
You better go spend some money.
It needs to happen.
All right, I got my picks in already. They're in
your
phone.
picks?
I got Johnny, Stu, Caleb for the podium. First time, I know. Been talking shit. He proved us wrong in Florida. I think he'll get back on the podium. Somebody in the chat said they thought Caleb was going to do the good this weekend. And I said, you know what? I agree with that. So,
you know what? That's good. That's a good pick.
All right, who you picking?
No, it's a good pick. I think you did good.
Yeah. You want me to put the same for you? You can't do the same. I went first.
I don't need to pick.
Who's your podium?
I don't need to pick.
Who's your podium? You got to. It's between me and you, man. We're up to $3. 3 whole doll hairs.
You put me in a tough spot.
Come on, man.
There's a
look. Hold on. Out of the first 2 that we did for Big Buck in Florida, did any of these riders say anything about your podium picks?
I think I mostly avoid them because I made picks.
Perfect. So nobody said anything, so we're good to go. Come on, give me 3.
It is tough, but there can only be one winner and 3 people on the podium.
That's right.
So last year, I'm pretty sure that Grant Davis and Josh Toth were both in the mix for I think it was Gus, actually. Gus at first. But then I think Grant ended up getting up there.
Shit, I don't remember.
Because Gus was in front when Josh Toth ran out of gas right in front of me.
I was severely hungover down there that day. Because that was the day after Tyler's wedding.
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah, I got up and drove down there that morning. It was like a 5.5 hour drive.
That is right. I remember that now. Because I left from there that night.
They made it a year.
They did?
Yeah, they had an anniversary last Sunday.
Congratulations. They were here for my Supercross party, too.
Yeah. I wasn't.
With their son that's named after my dog and I.
Come on, what's your podium pick?
Oh, camera went out. I can't do it now.
Well, now they'll never know who did it because they can't see you say it.
Oh, it's tough, dude. Johnny Rod's so good there.
We got people in the chat. You may just pick one of those and go with it.
Well, I think I got my suspects. I'm just trying to figure out which order they're going to be in.
I think you should go with underfoot.
Johnny's going to be strong there.
You probably will win if you go with underfoot.
And now they are training at Club MX.
Not far from Coker.
Similar style.
Yep.
He's already strong there. He won Florida, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Johnny's got to win, dude.
Okay, I'm putting you on there for Johnny.
But Stu's at a point where he's got to win.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a battle between Johnny and Stu.
Who are you putting on top?
I think I've picked Stu at every round this season. Every time we've done a prediction, I put Stu first.
Except for Talladega, the one we didn't do it.
Yeah.
Maybe you're just bad luck, John.
We'll go Johnny, Stu. And see, here's the thing. I'm leaning BK or Caleb.
Well, you can't go Caleb because I went Caleb. And
Do you have the first two the same?
Yep. And we can't go. Yep.
I guess none of my picks count.
No, that's what happens when you don't go first.
But what I was gonna say is the XC2 kids are gonna be in the mix, man. I'm gonna go DeFeo.
Okay.
Had DeFeo not had bike problems in Talladega, he probably would have overalled that race. And Stu even said that on the podium. Because he was right there too. And then Stu made the pass on Grant at like the 8 mile mark in that field. And that's when he was like, I had 3 miles left to get as far away from that kid as I could. And he was able to get it done. But T-Rex was right there with Stu.
Mm-hmm.
So had he stayed running, I mean, he's obviously up a minute.
Yeah.
Like that could have been Nick's second overall.
Yeah.
But I don't know because
you got to finish.
Both of Nick's runs have been in
the mud.
And now we're going to a fast, wide open sand track.
Yeah.
What do you think? Let's hear your XC2 podium prediction.
Ooh.
As we go completely dark.
We're blacked out again. The cameras are tired, man. I think the cameras are ready to fucking call it quits.
Well, I unplugged this camera to charge the laptop. So this battery's dead. It's been working other than the battery.
Yeah.
That one keeps overheating, and I don't know why. Because it didn't for the first 5 episodes.
You know what? I think it's gonna be Gus.
Wait, hold on. We have developing news in the chat of the OTP YouTube. Someone has decided to go against our biggest fan in OTP's history. We now have an overfoot in the chat, and I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Overfoot better start. God, that was terrible. Overfoot better start spitting up some money.
I just saw that up. Yeah, dude, you're Overfoot. You're $40 down.
Yeah, come on, Overfoot. We're really begging for some money here.
Now I feel like
talking
I'm
about panhandling. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. That is actually pretty funny that someone took the time to change to Overfoot. But there will only ever be one underfoot.
What's the picture? Can I click on it? Oh, I can block him.
Dude, I'm just going to start every show like this now. Welcome to OTP. This is me and underfoot.
Disgusting.
Yeah, I know. I hate feet, by the way. But is underfoot. And underfoot is number one. That's crazy. We're beefing over feet in the chat right now.
My mother just texted me and said, not only do you guys need new cameras, you need new batteries. She said beg more. That's
We gotta get
funny.
new cameras. We also
need
gotta
a-
get out of here, man. It's 10:45.
We need an Artistry Floral sponsorship.
Come on,
Flowers. Flowers. I'm going to do a plug here. If you need flowers in the Lake Norman area, Artistry Florals should go to lady. Should hook you up.
I got QuickBooks open. Let me send her an invoice real quick for that for that ad.
Hey, I've been donating my time for 6 weeks. So. Hey, XC2 podium. I ain't gonna get away from this. I think Gus, Grant, and Cody Barnes.
Gus, Grant, Cody Barnes.
Yep.
Dude, we forgot to dig up results. Speaking of Gus and Grant and Cody Barnes, this past weekend was the Old Mill U.S. Sprint Enduro. Johnny Gerard took the win after battling Grant Davis and Liam Draper. Liam Draper would be second in Pro 1, third place overall. Cody Barnes, third in Pro 1, fourth place overall. That puts Grant Davis in the number 2 spot with a first place finish in Pro 2, second place overall. Jason Tino, second place in the Pro 2 class. And Gavin Simon rounding out your overall Pro 2 podium after 2 days. Joseph Cunningham, JoJo, took the Pro-Am win, 7th place overall. Cole Whitmer in the number 2 spot of the Pro-Am class. Colton Shields with, Colton. I got excited, but it was Cole Whitmer that actually took, I'm all mixed up. Pro-Am. JoJo Cunningham takes the win. Cole Whitmer in the number 2 spot, and Colton Shields did, in fact, land a podium position in the Pro-Am class. And then shout out OD, Olin Daniels. The milk chugging machine, Olin Daniels, top am winner of the 250A class. And down in the Pro Women's, looked like a pretty tight battle out there between them. It was just 5 seconds after 2 days of racing. Taylor Jones, TMFJ, back with a vengeance. She takes the win over Corey Steed, who ripped her whole thigh open and posted a picture of it.
I saw that.
Looked pretty gnarly.
Not good.
Rachel Goodish rounding out your Pro Women's podium, digging up results with DPG.
I got another update for you. We got another $10 from
Underfoot. Jeez, dude.
And calling it Bigfoot.
I'm going to have to send Underfoot a W9 here for too long.
We got to get Underfoot on the show. Can we FaceTime him next week?
Underfoot, who are you, dude? We need to get you to FaceTime in. Do you have an Instagram? And how are you this engaged and you didn't know who we were 4 weeks ago?
We've got to get him on the show. Let's figure it out.
He needs his own segment now.
Yeah.
Take that, Overfoot.
Underfoot, DM on the Pipe podcast. Let's get this set up.
Yeah. Who are you?
I'll remain nameless. Oh, shit. Hey, you do whatever you need to. Just keep sending that beer money.
This is going to be under the foot pipe.
Just give him the show. Oh, this is going sideways.
I mean, he's halfway to purchasing the show at this point.
He's got more invested than both of us. Well,
maybe not me. I'm just now getting into the positive. Shout out Yamaha. Blue Crew.
Somebody comments that he's auntie. He's an OTP fan.
I should have known that. How did I not put 2 and 2 together?
Oh shit.
Man, no, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys listening. Tom, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming over and dedicating your time here on Tuesdays to be with us. Any more storylines, any other things for the weekend as we head in? $47.92 in revenue. That's $50 in one night, dude. This has never happened.
Oh man. No man, I can't think of nothing. It should be a good weekend. Coker always provides some really good racing, and yeah, I'm excited. I'll be there. We'll watch it, and yeah, I think we'll get to talk about some more racing next week, and yeah, we'll have plenty to talk about next week after the race. I mean, these ones where there's not really a lot going on previous weekend, and we end up getting on here and actually talking a bunch of shit and really bullshitting for however long we've been going, but it's fun. But yeah, next week be a little bit more interesting as far as racing and dirt bike talk goes, at least.
Yep.
Our GNCC talk. We talked all about dirt bikes.
And a couple of things for the program going forward. One, Tuesday, we should be joined by Colonel Jody Lynch of the Marine Corps. He should be joining us to talk about his Ride for Heroes that he's doing. He rode at Talladega. He'll be riding this weekend at Camp Coker. So he'll be on to talk about the 2 people that he rode for, so be on the lookout for that. But then the other thing is what this whole thing started as and what we were doing is weekend reviews on Monday, where we talked about the race and what is going on, and then OTP Tuesdays was having 2 or 3 guests on each week. Riders, maybe they had a good weekend, maybe they had a bad weekend, maybe they hit a tree. We did one of those, but that's the plan. Is now this was kind of a test experiment with Tilley today, trying to get it sorted out and figure out that we can do the live calls. Now that we know that we can get it going, hopefully we will be bringing in the guests aspect back to it and having people on the show to interview.
Yeah, I know this is the Tuesday show's kind of evolved into being the weekend review show, but and Mondays are hard to I mean, for me they are. I don't know about you, but Mondays are hard to do to make the time to get in here. So I appreciate you kind of doing the kind of flip flopping what you've always kind of had set up to make it work. But man, it would be cool to see some more like just one-on-one interviews like you've done in the past, and just fill those in throughout the week and just blast them out to the whatever, audio only or whatever it needs to be. But yeah, I'm this thing with Tilley tonight was really cool, because I've always kind of wanted to see what it was like to get people to call in, and now we kind of got a way to do that. Yeah, especially if we could figure out how to line up a guest or two at night, and it'd be put a little bit of a time limit on it so we can have our regular show and still get some insight from riders or just other people.
Yeah.
Underfoot or overfoot or whoever, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, just, and then one day, hell, maybe you can figure out how to have people actually call in live or something. I don't know. To like a phone board. I don't know how that shit works.
Yeah, we're adapting as it comes. But I
don't think we need to add any more electronics to this setup, because I think we about fried everything you have tonight, between a computer not turning on, a camera that overheats, a camera that dies, to Wi-Fi crashing.
It's been a crazy night for technology.
It has.
But no, and like I said, I appreciate you coming on. It's something we've always talked about, and you've been on intermittently in the past. And I think having 2 people here to kind of break it up and kind of give different aspects of what we're talking about, I think helps a lot and goes a long way. And I think we both received good feedback from that. So, no, I do appreciate it. But yeah, just figuring out where we're going to go forward, how to make it better. And I think being on YouTube and getting the comments and getting the engagement up is helping a lot as well. So thank you all for being here and listening. If you're listening to this after the fact, just keep in mind you can't donate money live where you're listening right now. No, I'm just kidding. And we might have just ended it. I think the stream just went out, so I think it's a good place to call it. You'll hear this in the audio-only version. Be a friend, tell a friend, someone, or about OTP. Appreciate you listening. Thank you for being here, Tom. Thank you for being here and listening. We'll see you Tuesday to talk about the action of Camp Coker.
See you.